Hey guys, Marsinkin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we have INT Broly's EZA in the game. We've beaten the good old 30-stage EZA, everybody loves those, I know. And so we have our boy fully EZA, level 140, SA 15. He is full level 10 links. I changed his silver skill orb when we saw his build to give him a little bit more dodge, because against specific enemies he doesn't really need a lot of crit. You are going to want him to do additionals because he is a stacking unit. So we're going to try him out. We're going to see how good he can be. I think a lot of people were disappointed in his EZA, but I also think that people are overreacting maybe a little bit, because we do have a lot of difficult events in the game now where you're fighting a Goku, or you're fighting a Pure Saiyan, Hybrid Saiyan, or movie hero. So a lot of his passive is going to be active in some of these events. We are going to try him out here just for the initial showcase in a stage against a Goku. So obviously he is going to be able to look his best if things go our way. So we'll see how we get on. His super attack, greatly raise attack, raise defense, and cause immense damage to the enemy. They're both infinite stacks, but the attack obviously raises much faster. So of course, being a stacker, we want him to super as much as possible. He has key 3, attack and defense 260. He has 26% damage reduction and chance to crit 26%. He launches an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. Then he gets an additional 26% attack and defense when attacking. I think people underestimate that because it is multiplicative, right? So when we take a look in a minute how much defense he has, he'll be getting 26% of that, right? Then he gets an additional 3 key and launches an additional attack that has a great chance to become a super, as well as getting an additional 18% crit chance and damage reduction if there is a Pure Saiyan, Hybrid Saiyan, or movie hero enemy. It is when attacking, so obviously this guy's never really been a slot 1 unit. And then he gets a guaranteed additional super, as well as an extra 15% damage reduction and 15% crit chance when attacking if there's an enemy whose name includes Goku. So because we are fighting a Goku who is a Pure Saiyan, we will be getting the full buff, which is 59%. So he will have 59% crit chance, 59% damage reduction, all of that while stacking. And then he has the active skill that we can use after performing 4 or more super attacks that for 1 turn gives him a big attack buff. So we're running him on the Tech Broly team. He's starting out on turn 1. Bear in mind we've got no support on this turn. He's starting out at 314k defense. So even against a non-Goku enemy, that means after he super attacks, he still has, what is his base? Is 25, or was it 26? 26 and then 18, right? So he still has 44% damage reduction after supering. So like even straight away on turn 1 against a non-Goku, if it's still a Pure Saiyan, Hybrid Saiyan, or movie boss, he's still going to be tanking basically all normals. I don't think there's a lot of units or bosses in the game that turn 1, their normals are doing like insane damage, but I guess we'll see. I don't need Cellmax to go crazy here, but so yeah, check out the links. We've got Saiyan Warrior Race, Saiyan Lineage, Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle, and we actually have Hardened Grudge active, which the Tech Broly does lose once he transforms, but that's another 10% attack. So yeah, let's see what the INT Legendary Super Saiyan Broly can do here. Turn 1 against Goku. Obviously, Tech Broly doesn't attack. He's going to get supered and take double-digit damage here. And then what is INT Broly going to do? So 8.8 is his first attack stat. Okay, that's quite good. Bear in mind it's going to jump up significantly every time as well. So we get the crit. Then the first passive one is a normal. The second passive one is a super. This is the one with the great chance because it's a Pure Saiyan. Jumps up to 9.7. So it went up by almost 1 million. And then we get another guaranteed additional because it's a Goku. So we go up to 10 mil. So we super 3 times in the first turn. So it'll be interesting to see what his defense is at the start of the next turn. There's the crit as well. And then there's the hidden potential. So we did get the 4 supers in the first turn. That means his active skill is going to be already ready to go. So we've got 4 supers in turn 1. On his God RNG turn, that can be 5 super attacks in 1 turn. And he's already up to having over 10 million attack without any support on the rotation. Now you think about how we run this team with like AGL Broly, who can activate his domain and buff extreme characters. We have the Turles army on the team that give a huge amount of support to planetary destruction. So obviously we're going to get them floated off here so that they can go around onto the rotation with him. Again, I don't want everyone to go like too crazy on this turn, so I'm not going to get the full 24 key for the Turles army so they don't get the guaranteed additionals and crits and all that stuff, because we do want to see as many turns of Broly as possible. Being a stacking unit, he's obviously going to benefit from that. But yeah, we'll be taking him into some of the tougher events. The interesting thing, especially for things like the stages like Gogeta from the Blue Zone or the movie events, where you start off fighting a Goku and Vegeta, so he's going to get that extra buff for the first couple of phases. Then the enemy switches to Gogeta and he loses the last part of his passive, but hopefully by then you've gotten a few extra super attacks off. He's still going to have the 44% damage reduction after attacking, which is very good. But yeah, I guess it kind of all depends, right? Is when we see his start of second turn defense, I'm very interested to see how high it was, right? So just over 300k is what we had previously. Now, obviously, being a character that gets all of his buffs when attacking, he's obviously not going to be super great against AoEs and stuff like that, right? So let's see, what are we up to? 485. So we basically got like 170-ish like K extra defense from 4 supers, which isn't a lot. So obviously that means he does stack relatively slow. We do get the 26% when attacking as well. So remember, like when he attacks on this turn, even without his actual super attack effect buffs, he's going up to about 600k. Then he gets all the stacks off of the super attacks that he does, and then has the damage reduction as well. So I think what we do here is we're going to transform you, and then I don't want to put you in slot 1 though, because you probably kill. Or at least make it less likely for Broly to do extra attacks. So we lose the Saiyan lineage and hardened grudge, but then we get Super Saiyan. So Saiyan lineage was giving us a little bit of defense, which is a bit of a shame. We're not going to use the active skill straight away, but we will go ahead and do this. Now obviously we won't see it because I can't bring the menu back up, but we are going to get a buff from the trio, although we can't get a rainbow orb, so we're only going to get an attack buff, but obviously that helps as well, right? Broly's going to get some extra attack. Of course he gets supered straight away. So he does have the 8% or 26% start of turn damage reduction. 120k, definitely not great, but, you know, as I said, he's not a slot 1 unit. We just want to give him as many opportunities to stack here since it is his showcase, but normally we would not be putting him in slot 1. Double super, double additional normal, guaranteed super because it's a Goku. That's when he's going to look the worst, right? Because if this wasn't a Goku, that would be it, right? Super 2 normals, and then hopefully the hidden potential. But because we have got a Goku, we do get an additional. That means he only got 2 extra supers, which is a little bit unfortunate. And then of course we do have the. So you don't have the extra buffs. I was tempted to like not transform you, but. The only problem with doing this event, I like doing this event for showcases because it usually does last a little bit longer, but obviously the Goku takes a lot of extra damage from tech enemies, which is why normally the stage takes a lot longer to do, because you can just not bring tech enemies if you're showcasing a non-tech character. But obviously we have to run Broly as the leader here. I mean, we don't have to. He's got other 200% leads as well. He is on the AGL Broly 200% leader skill, and so is Tech Broly. So, with how Movie Bosses is at the moment in terms of teams, I still think probably the double Broly lead team overall is better than the double Tech Broly team. Even though I think Tech Broly's better than AGL Broly, so having 2 of him is obviously great. But because you're limited to only Movie Bosses, whereas on the double Broly lead team, you can get some other units in there. You can get Kid Buu in there for that massive support, which is quite nice. Having like physical Rose or like Zamasu, like there's some other characters that you can't fit under the Tech Broly leader skill that would be quite good on that AGL Broly team. And obviously INT Broly is on that team as well. He's on a couple of other 200% leads, like the physical Turles. There's a couple of other ones as well, but I mean, his main purpose, obviously, getting the EZA in this celebration is to be a big buff for Tech Broly and his team. So, obviously, we're trying to hold back here a little bit just so we can get as many turns in as possible. But it all depends how much. Because, yeah, the Tech Brolys do so much damage. Like, on the next turn, if I put Tech Broly in slot 1 and INT Broly in slot 2, Tech Broly probably kills him again. So, it means I have to put INT Broly in slot 1, which is very risky. Because if we eat a slot 1 super, I would imagine since we took like 150k with type advantage last time, we probably would die. But again, he's not a slot 1 unit. That does cause an issue for this team, though, in the harder events, where if you're putting him in slot 2, because obviously it's the safest strategy to put Tech Broly in slot 1, and then Tech Broly is going crazy and doing all that damage, it then stops the INT Broly from being able to get those stacks. So I think what we'll do here, we've got the support from Turles, we're at 644k. We basically just have to hope that he isn't going to immediately super me in slot 1. But let's go ahead and use the active skill and see just how much damage we can get off here on this turn with the support.
Show me your fighting spirit.
I've always liked his active skill. The animation looks very cool. So we get the buff. Hopefully it's enough to... hopefully he doesn't super in slot 1. The buff we don't really need to worry about, but because we don't buff defense with the active skill. So yeah, we'll just grab those. All right, so what's he got for me? So obviously we take double digits from normals, and then we get supered, because of course we do. How much is this going to do? 555k, but then he's at 23.4 million. Okay, so yeah, the active skill turn, he's going to go pretty crazy. Because again, he's not a slot 1 unit. We wouldn't put him in slot 1 normally. We just want to see these attacks and see what he can get. 24 mil. So if we're using him in harder events, we're obviously not going to be killing the enemy as quick as well. And now this is what you want to see. On the active skill turn, this is where you want all the additionals that are a normal with a chance to be a super. This is where you want them to be supers, because we get all the stacks. So all 4 supers, the 3 extras from his passive, all the extra attacks, all supers. Can we get hidden potential as well? Oh, let's go. So that's the god turn. Use the active skill and then get 5 super attacks, all of which were over 20. So he did over 125 million attack stat worth of attacks in that turn. Whilst also getting 5 more stacks, obviously, for his passive. So pretty good. Can we not one turn this Goku? I really want to see his like stats again, but I don't know if we can not one turn him. I really want the Broly like domain buff as well, but if I activate that on this turn, full power Broly absolutely will kill this Goku. So I guess we just try and do as little damage as we can, which it's not something you normally do, but unfortunately the Super Saiyan Goku at the end of the event doesn't have the same sort of level as defense, so I think it's pretty unlikely he's going to survive the turn here. But bearing in mind, last turn we were at 600 odd K start of turn, then we did 5 more supers, so he's probably going to be at around 800k ish start of turn. Bearing in mind he will then get 26% when he attacks, all the buffs from the supers he then does, and then has that damage reduction. So like a couple of turns in, he's well over 1 million defense, and against the Goku with 59% damage reduction. And that does apply to like any Goku and Vegeta, Goku and Frieza. Obviously if we get a tough event, like if the end of the blue zone for the movies ends up being a Goku as well, or ends up being like the trio, but their name includes Goku, like he's going to be good in some of these really tough like end game events if we're fighting a Goku, once you get past those first few turns. Now obviously we're going to take him into some other events and see how he gets on. I'm intrigued to try out the blue zone blue Gogeta, just to see like how getting those buffs in the early turns then benefits like the later setup, right? Because then once we get to the Gogeta phases, he won't have that buff from fighting a Goku, but we'll have hopefully got those extra attacks. I mean, he gets guaranteed extra supers against the Goku, right? So get some extra supers off in the first 2 phases against the Goku and Vegeta, and then see how we go in those later phases. The AoE will probably be the problem. It's going to be a case of like how much defense does he have when we eventually get to the STR Blue Gogeta phase at the end. But overall, I mean, this is what I said when his details came out, right? Against the Goku, this guy's going to look really good. Like he's not a slot 1 unit. He's going to be tanking all normals pretty much straight away from the beginning. Supers will obviously do some damage to him, but he's a unit that can drop a lot of damage. And we saw from the active skill turn, when you use the active skill, he really can do a lot of damage, right? So I think his EZA is decent. He's definitely not super good. He's not like the best new EZA TUR or anything like that, but he certainly seems good for events where you're going to prioritize using him, right? Where there's a Goku, and we'll see how he does in these other harder events, right? Because we really needed this guy to be a new staple for Broly's team, considering the options we have for movie bosses currently, until we get like the part 2 stuff and any more EZAs. So we will be trying him out in the different events. Let me know what you guys think of Broly based on this showcase. Is he better than you thought? Is he worse than you thought? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out all the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.